So you know what's actually really cool is that Steve Harvey has this. He has the story of how he made it in the beginning and like the different things he was going through and how it was really difficult for him. But one of the things that he talks about is this idea of like at the very beginning when you're going through something, there's this idea of a turn back moment. And I
Mm.
think the two of us kind of went through that in the last few days
Yeah,
in
for
terms
sure.
of just kind of like there's a whole like step by step process to like actually escaping like whatever it is you're trying to escape. It's going
Yeah.
to have the opportunity of like first there's the jump, you got to actually like leave it behind. Then as you're going, you have this opportunity to look back at it and be like,
Yeah.
do I go back? Do I
Yeah.
stay? Because it's a difficult situation. I mean, even the two of us in the last few days, like we've just been going through our own kind of different sides of it. But like even just for mine, so we talked in the last podcast episode this idea about leaving the 9 to 5 and then like cutting the safety nets away and like actually being in
Yeah.
that situation, or whatever.
Yeah.
But like I came to a place like in the last few days where I was like, bills are gonna come, gotta still like get paid somehow, still gotta make
Yeah.
it happen, and then it's that kind of like fear and that doubt. We were talking about that as well, like the idea of you're gonna have so much fear and it's gonna be like a massive amount of like doubt you're gonna go through, but kind of came to the decision that it was like had that moment of turning back to safety and being like, oh, maybe I should go back over there and like be safe and like take that cost. But
Yeah.
then at the same time, like, what are we fighting for? You know what I mean? Like, what are we trying to accomplish? And we said that it was going to be like this. You know
I
what I
know.
mean?
It
We
was like
said
what
this.
the our two other like podcast episodes. We were talking about the jump and like
Yeah,
leaving that like life behind, like the part
yeah,
time job, whatever. And then like these past few days, we are just feeling like it would be nice to like have that money in safety again,
yeah,
but it's not. We got through it, and we know it's not worth it. We want to be pursuing this. It's
yeah.
like the thing we want to do. So like
But
it
even
was
just the process of that too, like I mean, for you, like, because I've gone through it myself
yeah
beforehand, but like I think this weekend was the first
the
taste you
first
got of
yeah
like the
like
like
a
actual
bunch of
pressure of it
self
all.
doubt.
Man, you can feel like the physical pressure on yourself though, like
I
the
didn't want to
there's
get out of bed.
oppressive.
I felt weighted. Like I was like, I don't
Doesn't
want
it
to do
feel like something's
anything.
like keeping you down? I had
Yeah,
that like only a few weeks ago, like that kind of depressive energy, just kind of
you
like
feel it like right in your chest here too. It's
everywhere,
like
man. It's actually insane. Like the
yeah,
gravity's like turned up to 300, like the
and like
doubt and anxiety and
yeah, the
everything.
effect it
Like,
has on like your mind too. Because like I'd be like waking up at 11 p.m., going to bed at like 7 a.m. or whatever, and like it's just you don't want to be doing that. You obviously want to
yeah,
be waking up early and going to bed like 10, half 10,
yeah.
whatever. So like it was just
Life's gonna
everything
test you
was
like that,
affecting me.
yeah. Like the second though you say you want to dream or you're gonna do something,
Mm,
like life is gonna test you. God's gonna be like, how much do you want this? Do you really want to like go through what it takes? Because
yeah,
that feeling and like those things are what stop most people from like going after the dreams, and not just like leaving a 9 to 5 or doing like that, but like putting in the work and sacrifice it takes to accomplish anything. Though
mm,
that idea of like there's gonna be so much doubt, the idea that there's gonna be so much like pain and like sacrifice to go through it, but you have to like kind of stay strong in your vision. And like even for myself, I didn't even realize that it was that turn back moment until I had like kept going.
yeah,
Like when you realize it's a chance to kind of go back to that safety net. But like I think like these are you if you're going through these things, you're on the right path.
yeah.
Like that there's like this idea of you're going in the right direction
It
if you're
just
gonna have
feels
that.
like it's as well that like it feels like you shouldn't be going on that journey or that path, but like it's like the
Yeah.
right thing to go through, and like this is shit.
Yeah, it is really shit. But like, I'm glad it's like even just for the last few days, for you, for example, right? Because I know that like when you weren't talking to anybody, you were kind of keeping to yourself. You were like just going through it in your own head.
Yeah.
If you're gonna tell people like back home to be like, you can make it through this or you can
Mm.
survive this, we have to be going through it ourselves too.
Yes. True.
That was the exact reason why I didn't want to like go and get another part time job because I was
Yeah.
like, okay, I have 7 days a week. I'm not gonna be recording every single day. I can afford to do 2 or 3 days of like work or whatever.
Yeah.
But at the same time, how are you gonna come on the podcast every week telling people like, oh, we quit our 9 to 5s and we're gonna like do
Yeah.
this and we want to like,
That's great.
you know what I mean? Like there has to be
We're
some kind
not
of
getting
like
paid.
straight up. There has to be
Like
an authenticity though and
yeah.
an integrity that it's like, yes, it's tough, but like we can't run back to safety
No.
the second it
No.
gets tough out here. You know what I mean? Like there has to be something more and like a reason that we're actually out here
No.
fighting.
If we're people over a fucking word, we're gonna face it like face
Yeah,
value and like
exactly,
fucking
exactly.
go through it and shit
And
like that.
you saw so another really cool thing that I say you actually understood as well in the last few days is that when you're in that really like down in the dumps kind of mentality, there's a difference between like feeling the pain and then like wallowing in it.
Yeah.
There's a difference between
Oh
being like,
yeah.
okay, I feel the situation, it's awful, but I'm gonna get through it, versus being like, oh, my life is so hard and this is so awful, and this doesn't happen to
Oh
anybody else, and
fuck
it's like
that.
I'm
Don't
not fit.
cry about it.
You know what I
Like
mean? Like it's one thing to cry and it's another thing to cry about it.
Yeah.
Like you can like feel that pain
Yeah.
and just
Yeah.
take it on and be willing to say, okay, I know it's hard, but I'm gonna go through that. Versus
Yeah.
like, oh, it's so hard and I don't want to do this and it's awful.
Fuck
My life
that
is,
shit.
you know what I mean?
Like
Like there's a difference in that mentality. So like
yeah.
understand that you can like go through it and feel down, and then there's like letting yourself get down about stuff too. Like you kind of have to have a difference in it. And one of the best people I think who I saw this firsthand with was Israel Adesanya, because
Oh
when
really?
he lost to in his kickboxing days he lost
Yeah.
to Alex Pereira, he beat him, whatever, knocked him out,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
then Alex Pereira comes to the UFC afterwards and they fight again, and Alex Pereira beats him again. right? And like for Izzy, if you watched any of his interviews or any of this stuff after he
I
lost the
watched
belt,
the third fight. I watched it.
yeah, he came back and beat him in the end
Yeah.
though. But like in those interviews after he lost though, look at how he talks. He wasn't crying about it. He wasn't like saying
No.
it wasn't fair and that it was all this kind of stuff.
Even the third fight, his after at the after press conference, he
Yeah.
was just there like, he's a great fighter. Let's run it back and shit like
Yeah,
that.
exactly. But in terms of like a champion's mentality, like after losing the belt, he refused to let himself like start crying about it and start
Yeah,
like blaming
yeah,
other people and whatever. And like he didn't talk about his team doing this. He didn't say it was because of this. Like he kept that mentality of yeah, it's shit, but I'm gonna go
yeah.
through it and I'm gonna come back stronger. And then he like if you look at how he prepared for that third fight then and how he was analyzing it and how he set the traps and how he like executed it, like he's such a good definition of a
Oh, such a
champion,
good
you know?
fight too.
Like he's excellent at what he does.
Yeah,
He won the belt, and then
yeah.
like the exact same thing that we're doing. You know, once you kind of get that dream, you're gonna be tested. Like you know, a champion's not a champion unless he defends that belt.
Mm,
So like it's all good to reach the top of the mountain, but if the next guy comes and can push you off of it, like
yeah,
how much of a king were you really at the
yeah,
mountain? You
yeah.
know, but
Fair.
for him to come then and like to set that example on a world stage for like all the yous and me's and all the people who are going to come after him who have a dream and who want to chase it, for him to stand up there and be like, yeah, I'm not going to cry about it. Like it's hard, it's tough, of course it is, but I'm gonna get back to training, I'm gonna work my ass off. And he came back and to win like that as
Mm,
well. And then afterwards to be like, I told you so, you
yeah.
know?
Was he the type of guy as well in like his previous fights and training camps to kind of like fuck off for a bit and like mess around and shit?
Who, Israel
Is
Adesanya?
he? Yeah.
I haven't like I don't
Oh,
really know. I
really?
don't really know a whole lot
Oh,
like about this kind of
I
stuff.
thought I
But
seen something online. Him in one of his press conferences, just saying like, I didn't fuck about this time. I kept
hmm.
straight on the path, and
I'd
it
say
paid
that
off.
yeah, like there's definitely like a balance you probably have like in terms of like just generally, but I'd say for this fight, like with so much
Mm,
being on the line, it was
yeah,
I'd say it was a difference.
yeah,
Like I know that if I was competing like versus some random person versus like my like rival, like you know, there's a different intensity, you know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah.
So like there's a different kind of like pressure you're gonna bring with that. But I think just he's such a good example of how to handle a loss because like not that long ago, everybody was saying, "Oh, Izzy's finished now. He's washed up." Like Alex Pereira like knocked his
And he
ass out. He's done.
showed them like,
But
oh
he came
god,
back and he's like,
yeah,
I'm not going to do it with my words. I'm not going to cry on these interviews and tell
mm,
you I'm going to be better. I'm
yeah,
going to come back. I'm going to have a different mentality. I'm going to fight for it. And I think he's such a cool example as well of like that good mentality. But this, it's interesting you say that though, the idea of how he came back stronger for this like next
yeah,
podcast or for this next training camp because when like I've seen like, a lot of stuff like we'll say David Goggins for example, who's a great example of
yeah,
just like you know going for it or whatever and doing his own kind of thing. But he talks about this idea of if you want to do something like you can't really have a balance. You know, for a lot of people, they're gonna have a healthy balance in life. They're gonna have this, they're gonna have that. They can like kind of make a nice kind of in the middle of it. But and this is something I found for myself is that if you want to be the best at what you do, though, you got to be obsessed. Like you got to go to the
yeah,
edge. You got to go to the
yeah,
cliff. Like even McGregor talks about it. He had an obsession for what he was trying to do.
yeah,
It wasn't a thing of I can do this like healthy balance. And I'm doing this for the day and I'm doing this part time. It's like no, you got to be
no,
obsessed. You got to be in it like
yeah,
every single day,
yeah,
going for it. Like every minute of every waking hour, you're thinking about it. And I know that sounds like a bit like unrealistic and a bit like exaggerated, but I can tell you as somebody who like themselves like spends every waking minute thinking about okay this then this like this
yeah,
step what are we
yeah,
doing for here what are we doing
yeah,
for this like it counts for something you
mm,
know what I mean so yes like balance is great for like the majority of people but like if you're going to talk about you want to be the best at something you want to like become like
yeah.
next level killer at something you're going to really have to like not have a balance at all like you're going to
No,
have to go all the way
yeah,
to the
all
edge
in
you know
like.
you're going to have to go all the way to the edge but
Facts.
it's cool though. It's such a cool time to be alive where you see all these different people like in history, like what they're doing right now.
Yeah,
Like we know more now than we ever have. We have all these like cool people out there. Like the society has like generated some really cool people in all of this. So it's so cool to see like the Israel Adesanyas or the
yeah,
David
yeah,
Goggins or even like the John Jones, like the controversial people who like have done like
yeah,
certain things, but at the same time, like look at who that person is, look what they've accomplished, and like even the McGregors and stuff. Like these people, when you think about it, like they're on the edge of that, like that abyss. You know what I mean? Like they're looking down into it, and they're like doing what people are too afraid to do. And of course, like you know, like life is going to come with its own challenges, and they're going to be put to their own tests. And like if you even just think about what these kind of people are doing, like if their day job is like mixed martial arts, and like they're like a celebrity or a house name and stuff, like things are
yeah,
going to happen like that too. But it's so cool to see all these like people who are obsessed with their craft and who want to get to the absolute top and like
mm.
push it and just with McGregor,
It's
like,
inspiring as well,
oh,
for
100%. As an
sure,
Irish
man.
person too,
Yeah,
like, I come from the same rock as you. Like, we're from the
like,
same place. And, like,
yeah,
I love seeing people from my hometown and from, like, people I know succeed. Because
yeah,
it's like, we
so
come from the
nice,
same
like
place, you know what I mean? Like, we
literally.
can generate champions where we
Yeah,
are too. Like, that's why, like, even just for us, it'd be so nice to set an example
yeah.
for those to come after
'Cause I
us.
feel like Ireland, like in like the thing of champions, it's like so far down. You don't really
Yeah,
see
man.
many like Irish people like out there
Honestly,
and
like
stuff.
we don't rank that high in all these different kind of
No,
things, but like we're producing like excellent talent though. Like there are people who are like pioneering like into different like stuff and like
mm,
who want to like fight really hard, you know what I mean,
yeah,
to get different like achievements and stuff. Like I even know for myself because in the business strategy competitions, like I got 2-time national champion, and it's like, okay, what can we achieve at Euros? What can we achieve at Worlds?
Yeah,
And like
yeah.
coming back next year to do my masters, I'll 100% be competing for those.
World champion.
Could you imagine like being able to say we held up another belt in another category, like the Irish
No,
coming
that's
out for doing
insane.
stuff?
Yeah.
And it's not even the thing of like to be like, oh, we should all just like obsess over the countries we're from, or we should all like stick to that clique. But it's like, nah. But if you do come from a particular flag, you do come from a particular whatever, it's cool to take ownership of that like culture and that heritage and be like,
Yeah, yeah,
okay,
of
like I don't
course.
get to choose it, but this is where I'm from, and I want to
Yeah,
represent it to the
legit.
best I
Like, of
can,
course.
just to be like a representative. I
Yeah.
think there's something so cool about that as well. But yeah, no, in terms of that look back moment, we might look back, but we're not turning back. I
No,
say that
facts.
we're
No.
not turning back. You got
Uh-uh.
to keep pushing through it, even if
Yeah.
it's ugly, even if it's
Oh,
hard. But yeah,
yeah. Yes, sir.
so 3 is complete.